Bai Shaoyu intentionally gets a perfect score just to escape his 6 toxic sisters. When they stay in Beishi to work, he immediately heads to Nanshi for college. The moment they transfer their jobs to Nanshi, he applies to study abroad. During the adopted brother's massive birthday banquet, all 6 sisters completely let loose. They shower the adopted brother with gifts and affection, making his room incredibly lively. Everyone expects him to act like his usual clingy self, begging for their attention. Or throwing another childish tantrum, but instead, he stays completely silent. He boards a flight out of the country alone, leaving his toxic family behind. Suddenly, his oldest sister, who always despised him, texts him, saying they waited all night. She asks why he didn't show up and if he really went abroad. Then she even apologizes, promising they won't neglect him like this ever again. Asking him to just come back first, her desperate text actually sounds pretty pathetic. A brief wave of emotion hits him, but it quickly fades into pure numbness. Over the next few days, as soon as he blocks one sister, another texts. It is endless spam, so he finally decides to just pull out his SIM card. He replaces it with a new one, but right before he ejects the old card, one final threatening text message pops up from the other side of the ocean. It warns him not to let them find him, but they have absolutely no idea. This is where it gets good. He is not the old Bai Shaoyu because he actually regressed. In his past life, his parents died in a tragic car accident shortly after his birth. Their driver managed to pull him to safety, but when he went back for his parents, the fuel tank suddenly exploded, killing the driver instantly right there on the spot. To repay the debt, his oldest sister adopted the driver's only son to raise together. From that moment on, everything that rightfully belonged to him was split in half. Even his own family's love was stolen, and nobody ever asked how he felt. Honestly, nobody cared about him. They only focused on the new, weak child. They insisted the adopted brother was sickly and fragile, so he must always yield. His oldest sister hired a private chef to make special meals just for him. She forced Bai Shaoyu to watch over him daily, while the second sister paid for art lessons. They actually took his personal art tutor and handed him over to the adopted brother. His third sister even forced him to attend a worse college just to watch over him. In the end, a completely fabricated accusation from the adopted brother ruined his life. He was kicked out of the house, which was the absolute last straw for him. Out of options, he completely snapped and hired kidnappers to stop his tormentor. But the plan failed, and his oldest sister ruthlessly threw him into an asylum. The nurses tortured him to death, but then he woke up 3 years in the past. He regressed to the exact day of the adoption, where the kid set him up. The kid fell into the pool to frame him, and the fourth sister only saved the kid. She left him to drown, while the second sister demanded he admit to pushing him. Refusing to pull him out unless he confessed, he had to scream his apology. He begged his sisters to save him, but they just stood there watching coldly. Only when he stopped moving did they finally, reluctantly, pull him out of the water. After that trauma, he tried everything to please his sisters and avoid the kid. But his reward was the adopted brother shamelessly stealing his graduation thesis project. His second sister even lied for the thief, getting Bai Shaoyu expelled for plagiarism. The adopted villain needs a kidney, and Xiaoyu's own third sister literally drags him to the operating room to carve it out. When the villain needs fake clout for international tournaments, the fourth and fifth sisters just hand it over. The sixth sister kicks Xiaoyu out of the team without hesitation, even after he uncovers proof of the villain's plagiarized work. He brings this evidence to the eldest sister to expose the truth, but it completely backfires on him instead. Absolutely nobody believes a word he says. They don't even bother looking at the solid proof. Instead, they kick him out onto the streets, leaving him completely broke, homeless, and suffering in absolute misery. Ultimately, he still cannot escape this tragedy as his painful past memories start rushing back. Xiaoyu completely gives up struggling, letting his body sink straight to the very bottom of the pool. He stares upward with wide, expressionless eyes, looking like a total corpse. From the bottom, he watches his sisters completely crowding around and pampering Fang Yuan on the deck. Even seeing this play out again, a sharp, piercing pain still shoots straight through his chest. How pathetic that a biological brother is valued way less than a manipulative outsider. The second sister, Bai Ningbing, is busy fussing over Fang Yuan until she notices the splashing sounds have completely stopped. She finally looks back at the pool, only to see Xiaoyu already resting at the very bottom. Her face instantly loses all color. With a loud splash, she dives straight in. As Bai Ningbing desperately swims down, Fang Yuan watches from above with a dark smirk. He is literally hoping Xiaoyu actually drowns here so he can have them all to himself. But then, he pulls on the fourth sister Bai Shu's sleeve, pretending to be weak and scared. He cries out to the fourth sister that he needs to go save brother Xiaoyu too. Saying it is his fault Xiaoyu fell into the water, Bai Shui was actually worried for a second. But hearing this, she immediately comforts Fang Yuan and tells him not to push himself. She says their second sister has it handled and that Xiaoyu is just getting what he deserves. He will not die, she says, turning her head back toward the pool with a cold, complicated look. Down below, Xiaoyu watches the second sister desperately swimming down toward him. Bai Ningbing's panicked face looks real, but she was the same person forcing him to apologize just minutes ago. She literally stood by and watched him drown. This time, he does not want her saving him. With a mocking smile on his face, he simply swims right past her and heads up. See, in his past life, Bai Ningbing forced Xiaoyu to learn how to swim alongside Fang Yuan. He was absolutely terrified of water, but he forced himself to learn just to make her happy. Yet, after overcoming his worst nightmare, the second sister only praised Fang Yuan for being brave. She had no idea Xiaoyu was intentionally trapped underwater for a full minute back then. It left him with severe trauma, but absolutely nobody in this family cared about his pain. Bai Ningbing pops out of the water, yelling at him for throwing another dramatic tantrum. She asks if he really thinks faking a drowning will make them forget his mistakes. She steps up and blocks his path, not letting him walk away. She realizes he looks completely different now, demanding to know when he even learned how to swim. Xiaoyu just looks at her. He used to love his second sister more than anyone else. The eldest sister was always too harsh, so only Bai Ningbing ever showed him any warmth. But now, her eyes hold nothing but disgust. Right on cue, Fang Yuan plays the victim again. He whimpers that it is not Xiaoyu's fault and that he knows his place. He acts like Xiaoyu hates him being part of the family because he was too greedy. He begs them not to fight over him, looking like a total saint while manipulating everyone. This makes the fourth sister, Bai Xue, turn on Xiaoyu in absolute fury, asking if he is satisfied now. She screams that if Fang Yuan's parents had not died saving Xiaoyu, he would never be an orphan. They should have never saved an ungrateful wretch like him. He should have just died back then. Bai Ningbing frowns deeply, telling Xiaoyu he needs to have a conscience. She tells him they must treat a Yuan like family because the Bai family owes him. And you owe him even more. But Bai Xue doubts he will ever understand. If an ungrateful jerk like him actually understood, he wouldn't have done what he did. He wouldn't have pushed a Yuan into the water, and honestly, Uncle Feng saving a dog would have been better. Standing there, Xiaoyu feels completely abandoned, his entire body freezing up from their cold words. Honestly, he low-key wishes he was never even saved in the first place. Forcing through the burning pain in his lungs, his voice cracks as he admits it's his fault. He tells them it won't happen again because he is done making stupid mistakes for this family. Since they clearly prefer Fang Yuan, he decides to completely step back. Second sister Bai Ningbing snaps, asking if he realized Yuan couldn't even swim. She is completely disappointed, telling him he could have actually killed him. Xiaoyu realizes she actually believed he did it on purpose to kill him. She wonders when her own brother became so cruel, right as the family doctor rushes in. Bai Xue glares at him, warning him to pray that Yuan is perfectly fine. Otherwise, she promises he'll face hell when their eldest sister returns, before Ningbing walks off. But Ningbing turns back and sees Xiaoyu standing there soaked, his face completely pale. Feeling a bit soft-hearted, she tells him to go upstairs and change. She mentions the banquet is starting soon, but he stays completely silent. Soon, he is left entirely alone, waiting until everyone is finally out of sight. Only then does he double over, coughing so violently it feels like his lungs might give out. Swallowing the bitter taste of blood, he drags his aching body back to his room. Once changed, he looks around the unfamiliar bedroom. In his past life, this very room was eventually given away to Fang Yuan. while he was kicked out to a tiny closet. Then he notices the family photo. It shows a young couple holding a baby surrounded by 6 little girls. Sadly, just years after his birth, their parents tragically died in a car crash. Holding his head, a crushing pain begins to spread deep within his chest. He takes slow, shallow breaths, barely managing to suppress the agonizing ache. In this lifetime, he wants absolutely nothing to do with the Bai family ever again. He packs away the photo and starts quietly gathering his things. A servant knocks, announcing that the grand banquet has officially begun. She adds that the second sister wants him downstairs. He acknowledges it and opens the door. As he heads straight toward the loud, crowded venue, the servant's eyes widen in shock. She is left wondering what on earth he is wearing, thinking he's completely lost his mind. Out at the party, Fang Yuan is dressed in a pristine white suit. He looks like the ultimate innocent, sweet younger brother, with Ningbing and Bai Xue by his side. They are doting on him so much, making the entire scene look incredibly heartwarming. Ningbing finds herself thinking of Xiaoyu, wishing he could be just as well behaved. To her, his attitude has only gotten worse lately, but suddenly, Xiaoyu arrives. The second he steps into the room, every single eye locks onto him. Despite all the intense staring, he remains entirely expressionless. He's wearing a basic t-shirt, but on his head is a major statement piece. It's an $80 million limited edition hat, and around his neck, he's rocking a $60 million rare necklace and a classic priceless Rolex watch on his wrist. Talk about built different. He even has this insanely flashy gold belt tied around his waist, making everyone immediately start clowning him for being a tacky show-off. Like, who wears every piece of jewelry they own at once? He looks like a tacky nouveau riche. But here's the thing, our guy is actually doing this completely on purpose. He wants to flex hard and make Fang Yuan look bad, literally strutting right up to his face. He says in the calmest voice ever, "Congratulations, you are finally a part of the Bai family today." See, in his past life, the moment this green tea joined the family was the start of his worst nightmare. No matter how he tried to please them, his sisters always picked the adopted brother. His second sister even had the nerve to say she wished Fang Yuan was their biological brother instead. But in this second life, he is officially done chasing after this absolute garbage excuse for family love. Seeing our main character literally dripping in pure luxury, Fang Yuan is secretly burning with absolute jealousy. Of course, he has to keep up his act, so he shrinks back and plays the victim. He softly whispers, "Brother Xiaoyu, I know you are unhappy with me. But you can rest assured I will not compete with you for the sisters. After all, I am just an outsider, and you are their actual biological brother. How could I ever compare to you?" And just like that, the dude actually starts tearing up. Our boy just smirks at this. Honestly, the green tea acting here is literally top tier. In his past life, he fell for Fang Yuan's innocent, harmless routine, hook, line, and sinker. He got played so hard, only realizing what a monster the guy was right before he died. Ningbing falls for it instantly, telling him not to cry because he is definitely not an outsider. She literally claims him as her real brother right there, while Fang Yuan secretly smirks under his lowered eyes. Hiding his smugness, second sister Bai Yan steps forward next. She pulls out a gift box for him, and Fang Yuan acts like he is totally blown away. He gasps. Wait, isn't this supposed to be for Brother Xiaoyu? How can he possibly take this? Seeing the limited edition figure inside that box, our main character is not even slightly surprised. Because in his past life, his second sister did this exact same thing, giving away the favorite figure he waited forever for. She tells him to take it, claiming Xiaoyu owes it to him anyway. She tells Xiaoyu that even though Fang Yuan forgives him for pushing him into the water earlier, and even though she gave a gift on his behalf, she demands to know where his actual sincerity is. He just nods calmly and says he actually brought a special apology gift, taking all of his flashy jewelry. First, he takes off the limited edition hat from the oldest sister. Next is the collector's necklace from his second sister, and the rare 100-year ginseng from his third sister. Next is the Rolex watch from the fourth sister and the belt from the fifth sister. Finally, he adds the gold trophy from the sixth sister, placing them all neatly onto a tray. He calmly explains that these are all his absolute most prized possessions, so they should definitely show more than enough sincerity. See, he knew exactly that his fourth sister would try to corner him like this. So he prepared all of this beforehand, ever since Fang Yuan joined the family. The sisters literally stopped giving him any decent presents at all. Talk about a major favoritism problem. These items are the only expensive things he has left. And honestly, his sisters would have eventually guilt-tripped him into giving them all to Fang Yuan anyway. When Bai Xue looks down at the tray, her face completely freezes, and honestly, I love this plot twist.
She stammers, "These were your absolute favorites. How could you just give them away?"
She stares at his smiling face and demands to know what he is actually trying to pull. But he just smiles calmly. This is my apology. Fourth sister, do you think this is not enough? His face is completely blank, showing absolutely zero emotion. He is totally checked out of their drama.
Even Fang Yuan is staring at the tray in absolute shock, totally clueless about what our boy is plotting next.
Is this kid playing hard to get? Fang Yuan immediately speaks up, calling out to his brother Xiaoyu. These are precious gifts from the sisters, and they are way too valuable. He claims he cannot accept them, and Bai Xue angrily agrees. These were their gifts to him, so how could he just re-gift them to someone else? Fang Yuan's smile instantly stiffens as he bites his lip, acting all pert.
He sighs that to Xiaoyu he is really just an outsider after all.
He asks how he could ever deserve such gifts, making Bai Xue realize she messed up. She quickly assures him she did not mean that. She promises to buy him something brand new instead of someone's hand-me-downs. Fang Yuan immediately smiles through tears and thanks his fourth sister. Her heart totally melts, thinking this is what a sweet, obedient little brother looks like. Second sister Bai Ningbing sighs, asking Xiaoyu what kind of tantrum he is throwing now. She points out he used to treasure these gifts so much that nobody could even touch them. Yet here he is, throwing them all away just to apologize to Fang Yuan. She asks if he is trying to cut ties, or if this is about her stealing his action figure. She thinks he is just being petty because she gave his figure to Fang Yuan. Honestly, Bai Ningbing is convinced that Xiaoyu does not actually want to give these away. The fourth sister claims he is just acting out like this to express his petty anger. She snaps, asking Xiaoyu if he really thinks they are too blind to see through him. She even asks when he will finally grow up and act more like sweet Fang Yuan. Xiaoyu just stands there, stone-faced, noting these gifts are literally worth tens of millions. He coldly asks if this is enough to show his absolute sincerity for an apology. He asks if his fourth sister is just being cheap, leaving Bai Xue completely speechless. She stammers that it is not the same thing at all, especially with Fang Yuan watching. She stutters defensively, asking if she seems like that. Xiaoyu declares that everyone here can witness these gifts officially serving as his compensation. Bai Ningbing gets annoyed now, telling Xiaoyu to stop playing these foolish games. She asks how he can just hand over such deeply sentimental family gifts to someone else. To her, even if he is mad at the fourth sister, regifting everything is completely out of line. Xiaoyu asks if he looks like he is joking, literally shoving the tray into Fang Yuan's hands. He tells him it is all his now, and that he does not want any of the 6 Bai sisters either. Talk about savage! Fang Yuan stands there looking incredibly awkward, sensing the heavy tension rising in the room. Both sisters look furious, and the box in Fang Yuan's hands suddenly feels like a burning hot potato. He never expected Xiaoyu to pull a stunt like this, catching him completely off guard. If he does not play his cards right, this whole situation might actually backfire on him. Xiaoyu has suddenly become way too hard to deal with, leaving them speechless as he turns and walks away. Bai Xue screams at him to stop, absolutely furious that he is using her own gifts to apologize. She rages at what kind of apology this is, but Xiaoyu does not even look back. Bai Ningbing frowns, muttering that Xiaoyu is getting completely out of hand, feeling incredibly unsettled. That jade pendant she gave him was bought with her very first paycheck, carrying massive sentimental value. Now, Bai Xue feels like she just punched a wall of cotton, utterly defeated and frustrated. She feels suffocated, agreeing he did it on purpose. Fang Yuan grits his teeth as he listens to the sisters complain about how toxic Xiaoyu is being. He realizes his playing victim act is working, but he cannot let Xiaoyu win this round. Holding the box, Fang Yuan asks in a tiny, fragile voice if he somehow did something wrong again.
Fang Yuan acts innocent, claiming he could never take Brother Xiaoyu's most precious treasure.
Inside, Fang Yuan is panicking because Xiaoyu is totally setting a trap for him.
Bai Xue immediately chimes in, telling Fang Yuan to just keep it since it's an apology gift. She even mocks that Xiaoyu will regret this in 3 days and she can't wait to see it. They plan to ruthlessly mock him when he does, while Bai Ningbing gently looks at Yuan.
She tells him to just keep the box for Xiaoyu until he finally cools down.
After all, Xiaoyu has thrown tantrums before and he always ends up coming back.
He knows Xiaoyu is testing him, so he quickly promises to keep the box safe.
He puts on his signature obedient, soft smile, making Bai Ningbing sigh with relief.
Looking at him, she wishes Xiaoyu would finally grow up and be as obedient as Yuan. She gets this super relieved look on her face, completely fooled by Fang Yuan's act. Thank goodness Yuan isn't like that, she thinks, while Xiaoyu heads back to his room.
He's dizzy and freezing, clearly catching a cold.
As he closes his eyes, his only thought is how to escape this toxic family.
He has to earn his own money now.
His grades were high enough for a top-tier university, but his fourth sister ruined everything. He ended up at Fang Yuan's second-rate school, basically forced to act as his personal babysitter. He took the fall for every mistake, and any sign of rebellion meant they'd freeze his cards. Imagine being the eldest young master, but living worse than a broke student, all because of Fang Yuan.
That snake even stole his hard-earned thesis, leaving Xiaoyu framed for plagiarism instead.
It got him expelled, but now that he's regressed, he is absolutely not repeating that mistake. This time, he's aiming for a prestigious university, and he'll fund it all himself. He plans to enter gaming tournaments for the cash, using his top-tier skills from his past life. Honestly, gaming is his golden ticket. Meanwhile, as the banquet wraps up downstairs, Bai Ningbing walks up to his bedroom door, hesitating for a moment before finally knocking. But there's zero response from inside, and the door is completely locked. Suddenly, Bai Xue screams that Yuan has a fever.
Bai Ningbing immediately rushes downstairs, finding Fang Yuan with a bright red, flushed face.
His temperature is way too high, so she rushes to get the car keys for the hospital. The sisters frantically rush their precious Yuan to the clinic, completely ignoring Xiaoyu upstairs. Up in his room, Xiaoyi is actually the one suffering, sweating through a massive fever.
He spends the night trapped in nightmares.
The next morning, his phone explodes with notifications, waking him up with a killer headache. He opens his social media and finds a flood of messages. Wall-to-wall hate mail. He's totally used to it. Someone leaked a clip of him pushing Fang Yuan into the pool onto the school forum. Since Fang Yuan is the school's golden boy, everyone is self-righteously white-knighting for him. Xiaoyu's head is splitting, but instead of taking it, he decides to clap back. He starts roasting them back so fast that the forum admin thinks they're getting hacked. Done with the roast, he tosses his phone and goes back to sleep. At this point, he doesn't care about his reputation or pleasing this toxic family anymore. He's done playing nice. Suddenly, a maid starts banging on his door. She yells for him to get up, warning him that he's going to be late. Xiaoyu groans, realizing he actually has to face these idiots at school today. He splashes some ice-cold water on his face, planning his ultimate escape from the Bai family.
He knows his only escape is to finish his studies, get into college, and run far away from this toxic house.
Changing into his uniform, he heads downstairs with his bag, just as his sisters, Bai Ningbing and Bai Xue, walk in.
Seeing his flushed face, Bai Ningbing heads straight toward him with a concerned look on her face.
She tries to check his temperature like she used to, but he takes a quick step back, dodging her hand entirely.
He just turns around and heads to the dining room, knowing he needs to eat to recover.
He needs the energy to cram for Yun University, leaving Bai Ningbing's hand hanging awkwardly in the air.
Bai Xue scoffs, calling him an ungrateful wolf who is built strong like a bull anyway.
She complains that unlike fragile Fang Yuan, who fell in the water last night and immediately caught a fever, honestly, she claims anyone would get sick before him. Bai Ningbing just stays silent. True, his health was always fine, but then she walks over and reminds him that Fang Yuan is sick. She demands he take absolute care of Fang Yuan at school until he fully recovers.
She thinks he is going down the wrong path and cannot spoil him anymore.
Since he does not know how to show gratitude, she is going to force him to learn.
Bai Xue chimes in, reminding Bai Shaoyu that Fang Yuan's father literally saved his life.
She says he almost killed him, so taking care of Fang Yuan is his only way to atone. He just keeps his head down and forces himself to eat, despite having zero appetite. There are less than 100 days until the college entrance exam, and he needs the energy. Once that is done, he can leave this family forever. And honestly, I cannot wait to see these sisters regret everything.
She snatches his chopsticks away, yelling at him for ignoring her.
He looks up. Complete silence. His dark eyes are chillingly calm. She commands him to fetch hot water whenever Fang Yuan needs to take his medicine. She demands he run to the cafeteria at lunch so the food stays warm. Since Fang Yuan has trouble moving, he even has to accompany him to the restroom.
She yells that his parents saved his life, so this is his absolute duty.
She asks if he got that. His reply is dead silent and icy. He says he heard her, but makes it clear he never actually agreed to do any of it. He walks out of the villa with a blank face, looking up at the sky. Forcing his tears back, he thought that living a second life meant he wouldn't feel pain anymore. But hearing his fourth sister's heartless words still hurts. Like, how can anyone be this blind to their own brother? He still remembers when he was a kid and got sick, his second sister, Bai Bing, stayed by his side all night. And Bai Xue would tell him jokes just to get him to take his medicine. But since Fang Yuan was always weak, the sisters only cared about him, leaving Bai Shaoyu to endure his fevers alone. Swallowing the bitterness, he gets into the car and closes his eyes to rest. Just a little longer, less than 100 days left. Arriving at school, he heads straight to his classroom.
The moment he steps inside, the noisy classroom instantly goes dead silent.
Word about his recent online rant has already spread everywhere.
Everyone is whispering, wondering if he has finally lost his mind or what kind of trauma snapped him. They think he is just throwing a tantrum, but little do they know, he is preparing to absolutely destroy them.
He hears the quiet murmurs all around him, but does not care. He simply tosses his bag down and slumps onto his desk to sleep. He sleeps through the entire morning. Then, during the lunch break, Fang Yuan shows up.
Fang Yuan even has an IV drip attached to his hand as he enters.
The classmates immediately shower him with sympathy, making Bai Shaoyu frown in annoyance. He just shifts to another position to keep sleeping, but soon, some jerk violently slams his desk. Annoyed, he looks up, his dark eyes staring back coldly. Shaoyu glares up with pure annoyance as Fang Yuan stands right in front of him.
The guy's lackeys look completely irritated, making Shaoyu narrow his eyes in suspicion.
These two toxic sidekicks love spreading rumors and teaming up to bully him. They even fake evidence to turn his sister against him, while Fang Yuan weakly speaks up. He asks what Shaoyu wants for lunch, offering to go get it for him. Then he begs Shaoyu not to be mad, but Shaoyu coldly shuts him down. That immediately triggers the first lackey, who snaps at Shaoyu to stop being so ungrateful. He yells that Fang Yuan is already sick and only got that way because of him.
Apparently, Shaoyu is supposed to cater to Fang Yuan's every single need at school.
Fang Yuan coughs weakly, playing the victim card by telling his friends to stop.
He sighs about always being alone anyway, putting on a total pity party performance. The guy tries to act like a saint, but the lackey cuts in.
Saying Fang Yuan is just too kind, and that's why he gets bullied. Shaoyu is completely done.
He stands up and leaves the classroom, wanting to escape the drama. But Fang Yuan suddenly rushes after him, knocking over his own IV pole in the process. The guy conveniently falls right onto the shattered glass. Talk about a forced plot twist.
It's an absolute circus of coincidences, and the classroom immediately descends into total chaos.
All the screaming makes Xiaoyu's head pound, and before he can even speak, everything goes black and he passes out, waking up much later to a sharp smell. The smell of disinfectant hits him immediately. He is in the school clinic. A voice drawls out, asking if his high fever was an attempt to slow cook himself. Xiaoyu looks over and spots a woman wearing a white lab coat. She's tall, slender, and wearing a medical mask. Her cold, striking eyes immediately look familiar. He remembers who she is. This is the new school doctor, and she is stunning. She's got all the guys simping, but her attitude is incredibly savage. Though she doesn't stick around this school for long, Xiaoyu just sits up. He's actually feeling much better, thanks to the IV drip she gave him. Looking down, he quietly asks if he's allowed to leave now.
She tells him to wait for his family so he doesn't drop dead outside.
The doctor, Shen Youchu, sits back, her voice sounding completely relaxed.
She's definitely as savage as they say, making Xiaoyu reply with a raspy voice. He whispers that he has no family, but a panicked scream suddenly interrupts them.
It's his sister, Bai Xue, frantically asking Fang Yuan how he got hurt so badly.
Fang Yuan plays the martyr again, telling her not to blame Xiaoyu for his injuries. He claims it was all his own clumsy fault, not intentional at all. But right on cue, the first lackey steps in to twist the story completely. He lies, claiming Fang Yuan only wanted to help Xiaoyu get some lunch. Instead, Xiaoyu rejected him and maliciously tripped him out of sheer spite. The second lackey joins right in, pretending Fang Yuan is the ultimate victim. They claim he tried to help while sick, only for Xiaoyu to brutally push him. Hearing this, Bai Xue's protective anger flares up instantly. She completely loses her mind, screaming to know where Xiaoyu was hiding. Bai Xue demands he face her, furious that he would even think of using Fang Yuan. She even screams that Fang Yuan's mother should have left Xiaoyu to die in that crash. Hearing this makes our main character Xiaoyu let out a completely sarcastic smile. Just like in his past life, whatever the White Lotus Fang Yuan says is law. The next second, the hospital curtain is violently ripped open, revealing Xiaoyu looking incredibly pale. His lips are dry and peeling, and he looks completely lifeless. The moment Bai Xue sees him like this, the angry words die in her throat as Xiaoyu covers his mouth. He coughs violently, gasping. His frail back shakes as Bai Xue glares at him with pure hostility.
She tells him to stop playing weak to escape his punishment.
They literally sent him to school just to be Fang Yuan's servant.
And now she is furious that the golden boy had to fetch food.
To make it worse, she accuses him of tripping Fang Yuan. She asks if his conscience is gone while he tries to stop coughing. Xiaoyu gasps that he did not push anyone. Bai Xue cuts him off, calling it a pathetic excuse. She asks if he expects her to believe that, demanding he admit to doing it on purpose. With stinging eyes, Xiaoyu firmly refuses to admit to a lie. Suddenly, crack! A loud slap rings out. His cheek immediately burns with a sharp, stinging pain. But the betrayal from his family hurts way deeper, leaving him numb. Just then, the second sister, Bai Bing, rushes in to stop her. She holds back her angry sister, who yells that Xiaoyu did something horrible and won't admit it. She even claims she does not want a cruel brother like him. Meanwhile, the golden boy Fang Yuan watches from the door. Looking pitiful with red eyes, he whimpers for his sister to stop. He acts all innocent, claiming it was his own fault. Bai Xue snaps that he is too kind, insisting she must teach Xiaoyu a lesson. But just as she tries to strike him again, suddenly a loud, piercing screech echoes across the floor as a chair is pulled back. Shen Youchu looks completely expressionless, leaning against the desk. Leaning back, she coldly asks if they are his family. Bai Bing nods, confirming that they are indeed his older sisters. She tells them he has a 39-degree fever and an infection. He needs further tests, plus his blood sugar is dangerously low. On top of that, he is severely malnourished. It turns out he was actually sick and they thought he was faking. Shen Youchu calmly suggests that the sisters should get checked out too. Specifically, they should get their eyes checked because this is incredibly obvious. She points out that the kid looks pale and half dead. Is it really that hard to see? Bai Xue stammers, completely choked up by her words. Shen Youchu shrugs, saying she means exactly what she said. She notes that even if he is adopted, they still owe him a duty of care. Hearing the word adopted makes a bitter flash of mockery appear in Xiaoyu's eyes. Bai Bing panics, quickly clarifying that Xiaoyu is actually their biological brother. What a brutal roast. Shen Youchu says they would need a magnifying glass to see that. Honestly, if they had not claimed to be family, the school doctor would have called the cops already. She exposes the child abuse right then and there. Bai Xue freezes, but Bai Bing snaps back, claiming she was just teaching her brother a lesson. Absolutely speechless. Unlike precious Fang Yuan, she thought he was immune to freezing water, scoffing at the doctor. She complains that Bai Shaoyu always fakes illness to avoid responsibilities.
Since Fang Yuan's dad died saving him, she literally wants to rip Bai Shaoyu's heart out.
Just to see if it is black, while his throat burns in agony. He wants to argue, but what is the point?
They never believe him anyway.
Fang Yuan plays the victim, biting his lip and crying about how it is all his fault. The doctor bluntly agrees, saying it was indeed his fault. If you were sick, you should stay home, she says coldly.
Stop acting like being weak makes you right.
And honestly, seeing this badass doctor shut down the green tea brother is pure gold.
Is she actually defending him?
His eyes grow red because even a total stranger understands basic logic.
His sisters do not.
They are too biased to care, while the green tea brother's face completely freezes. He is fuming inside, wondering why this doctor is not falling for his good guy act. Why is she not touched by his kindness? This is not how things usually go. His manipulation always works, but now he is completely speechless.
So he just plays sad.
She argues he came to school because college exams are less than 100 days away. He just wanted peace. Too bad some ungrateful people do not appreciate it. Bai Shaoyu finds it hilarious. Just this morning, they forced him to do all of Fang Yuan's chores.
Did serving tea not affect his own studies?
They knew the exam was close, but his future just does not matter to them. Sighing, Bai Ningbing tells the fourth sister to take Fang Yuan home to rest up.
Second sister's word is law.
They leave, bringing quiet back. Bai Ningbing turns to Bai Shaoyu, scolding him for not caring about his brother. No more stunts. His throat hurts too much to waste another word on her. He just pulls the blanket over his face, shutting them out completely. Bai Ningbing gets annoyed, warning him that if he keeps acting up, she will not protect him. No more covering for him. She rips the blanket away, demanding they go home and talk right now. She cannot let Fang Yuan keep getting hurt, but Shen Youchu grabs her arm. He needs to finish his IV drip first, and family must wait outside, she says coldly. Her icy glare is absolute boss energy. Bai Shaoyu looks up, seeing her tiny frame standing strong against his sister. That is when he spots a bright, ugly scarlet scar running across her wrist. It is seriously eye-catching. He has got a matching scar right on his leg, too. It was from a childhood car crash, making him wonder if she went through one, too. Bai Ningbing snaps back, demanding to take him home. She claims they have a doctor at home, but honestly, that makes it worse. Why let his fever burn for so long, then? She looks totally guilty seeing his pale face. She stammers that he never mentioned being sick, and she tried checking his temperature earlier. But he dodged her, so how is that her fault? She even claims he is faking it to escape responsibility. Honestly, these toxic sisters are completely unhinged. Shen Youchu steps up, coldly warning her that if she tries to force him, she will call the police for child abuse. Under the law, victims of domestic violence can easily get a restraining order. Plus, she witnessed the violence firsthand, and the hospital cameras caught everything. She expects a fair judgment, remaining completely unbothered. She refuses to back down. He does not want to go with them. They have no right to force him. He silently looks at the woman protecting him as the ward falls dead silent. He opens his mouth, but no words come out. Explanations feel totally useless after being ignored a million times before. His sisters would never believe him anyway, and Bai Ningbing is starting to hesitate. She lets go, looking deeply disappointed, warning him that if he keeps acting up, even she cannot protect him from their eldest sister. Telling him to think about his choices, she finally turns and leaves. Letting out a massive sigh of relief, he leans back against the bed. He just laughs. What is left to think about? Kissing up to them like in his tragic past life, only to get kicked out again? No shot. He is absolutely not going to end up dying in a mental asylum this time. Suddenly, a cold ice pack is handed to him. Gently pressing it to his swollen cheek, he looks up at her. He mutters a quick thank you, but she asks why he did not explain. With a bitter smile, he asks if she would even believe his explanations. He even had proof, but they still called him a liar. They just wanted to hate him. He did not expect her to believe him either, since outsiders rarely do. They usually write him off as rebellious, but her next move catches him off guard. She actually believes him. Shen Youchu takes a step closer.
She gently places her hand on his forehead, noting his fever is finally down.
Her cool touch feels incredibly comforting, and he admits he is feeling much better. The pain fades, and then he spots her wrist.
Asking if her scar is also from a car crash, Shen Youchu suddenly freezes. She quickly pulls her hand back, adjusting his IV drip before quietly confirming it. Yes, a car crash. She keeps her back turned.
With her face hidden in the shadows, he mentions having a similar leg scar. He rolls up his pant leg, asking if they look identical. Shen Youchu turns and looks at his pale skin. The scar stands out sharply, but she quickly looks away, calling him a silly kid. Shen Youchu warns him not to just lift his shirt in front of others, but he argues she is a doctor. Her throat bobs as she reminds him she is still a woman, asking if no one ever taught him basic boundaries.
She points out that his scar is totally treatable, asking why he won't let it heal.
His expression instantly fades as a sudden, painful ache shoots straight through his chest, hurting him deeply. It is because his toxic third sister, Bai Xue, once claimed this scar represents their parents' existence. She promised to personally heal him when she had time, and back then, he actually believed her lie. But in the end, Bai Xue only looked at the scar on his leg with pure disgust. She openly spat that she despised the scar and would absolutely never help him cure it.
She even blamed him for their parents' tragic death, claiming the scar was a permanent brand of his guilt.
He is forced to carry that awful trauma for his entire life, and remembering it now makes it hard to breathe. Unable to voice this painful truth, he quickly shifts the subject, asking about her instead. Why not treat it? He shrugs, saying he does not really care. She insists he should still get it fixed anyway, so he forces a painful smile and says they can discuss it later.
Seeing his strained expression, Shen Youchu decides not to push any further.
Instead, she sits down next to him and turns on the television, catching his attention immediately.
It is a live gaming tournament, and his sixth sister is currently on the screen. It turns out she skipped their adopted brother Fang Yuan's welcome banquet just for this match. Unfortunately, she is about to get absolutely folded by the highly talented young lady of the Shen family. He remembers that in his past life, after his sixth sister lost this tournament, she got brutally mocked by her opponent, which made her come home completely furious and humiliated. So she immediately rebuilt their family esports team, recruiting her other sisters along with him to compete. They choked the qualifiers, but luckily they managed to claw their way through the wildcard bracket. Against all odds, they pulled off a massive comeback, eventually reaching the Grand National Finals together. And once again, they faced their ultimate rivals from the powerful Shen family. Back then, he spent countless sleepless nights training hard and analyzing every single opponent to help his sisters win. And since their favorite adopted brother Fang Yuan was garbage at gaming, he was not included. Without any real talent, Fang Yuan was stuck on the sidelines as a bench warmer. Since Fang Yuan could not play, he loved the feeling of fighting alongside his sisters. With no toxic outsiders around to ruin things, it finally felt like they were a real, loving family. For the sake of this tournament, he even completely stopped studying and preparing for his upcoming college entrance exams. But right when they won the crucial round and the trophy was within their grasp, his sister suddenly paused the game and cold-heartedly benched him just to let Fang Yuan play. They won the national title, and the sisters immediately celebrated, dragging Fang Yuan up onto the championship stage. They literally trampled all over his hard work, leaving him in the dust while they celebrated. There was Fang Yuan, standing right in the center, smiling like a saint while holding his stolen championship trophy. Watching the tournament on TV now, it feels like a hollow void has opened in his chest. It is a wound that can never heal. Shen Youchu asks why he is crying over a game.
He quickly snaps back to reality, brushing away the tears on his face before she can notice them.
Remembering the sheer betrayal of his past life made him lose control of his emotions. Suddenly, a hand with long, elegant fingers reaches out to offer him a clean tissue. He takes the tissue, feeling a bit embarrassed as he looks up at her. He asks if she plays, but she just calls him a kid.
She warns him that his only focus right now should be passing his exams, not gaming.
Shen Youchu leans back lazily in her chair, keeping her eyes fixed on the screen. She's fully locked into the match, and he quietly turns back to watch alongside her. Honestly, the Lu Tian team, the one our boy's sixth sister is on, is bound to lose.
Shen Youchu just smirks, telling him in a calm voice that he actually has a pretty good eye. And boom, the match ends and the Lu Tian team gets absolutely wrecked, just like he predicted. On the stream, his sixth sister, Bai Yan, looks completely humiliated and her face is dead serious.
She even smashes her keyboard because honestly, this girl has always had a toxic, explosive temper.
Honestly, seeing her get folded low-key makes him happy, especially since she'll desperately try to rebuild her team the moment she gets back.
But here's the twist. This time, he's done carrying the ungrateful Bai family. He's fighting for himself now.
The goal is simple. Become a pro gamer, make his own cash, and pay his own way through college.
He is completely done with them constantly cutting off his allowance just to threaten him into playing nice.
They even tried to force him to reject a top-tier university just to attend a low-tier school with Fang Yuan.
To fully escape their control, he needs total financial independence. Sure, pro gaming isn't seen as a major career right now in this era, but next year, streaming is going to absolutely explode, allowing pro players to rake in cash through live streams.
And as a literal regression MC with an entire past life of elite gaming experience, this is by far his fastest, most effortless way to get rich.
With his mind made up and the live stream over, it's finally time to make some major moves. Shen Youchu glances back, quietly walking over to his side to gently remove the IV drip from his hand. She presses a cotton swab onto his hand and points to the medicine she laid out on the table. She tells him he can grab his meds and head out, and he thanks her before leaving the school infirmary. But the second he steps out, another young woman casually strolls into the clinic. She smirks lazily, teasing her about how rare it is to see the cold doctor playing hero for a handsome boy. She warns her that this kid's reputation around school is absolute trash, and he is apparently a total menace on the forums. Warning her not to get played, she looks over at Shen Youchu, who is just leaning back in her chair. At this moment, her usual cold distance melts into a relaxed, sleepy vibe. She lazily asks why she hasn't left yet, but the woman claims she is just too curious. Like, why would a top talent like her hide as a school doctor? And why didn't she even go watch Xiaoyu's big match in person? She notes that the poor guy was so distracted looking for her that the sneaky girl from the Bai family almost took him out. If Shen Youchu gives up the real reason, she promises she will leave immediately. Instead of answering, Shen Youchu pulls off her mask and rolls up her sleeve, revealing a massive, painful-looking scar. Seeing it, Lu Ruyan's playful look completely vanishes, realizing that even after all these years, the trauma is still there. She gently asks if she still hasn't moved on, reminding her that the tragic car accident back then wasn't her fault. But wait, she gasps, realizing if this boy is actually that kid from... But Shen Youchu instantly cuts her off, telling her to shut up. Ignoring her friend, the doctor closes her eyes. Meanwhile, Bai Shaoyu takes a cab back to the Bai mansion, immediately hearing Fang Yuan's annoying voice inside. It sounds like a perfect cozy family reunion until the exact second he walks through the door. Instantly, the room goes dead silent. He ignores the awkward vibes and calmly starts walking past them. Just as he tries heading up to his room, his sister Bai Xue screams at him to stop right there. She snaps, demanding to know why he didn't even bother greeting his elders, calling his behavior absolutely disgraceful. She warns him not to think that having some school doctor and threats of calling the police will act as his magical shield. In her eyes, if he dares to leave the family, he is absolutely nothing. Getting more furious by the second, she stands up and asks if he really thinks they are just favoring Fang Yuan. She yells at him to look at the horrible things he's done to her, screaming that her mother literally saved his life. They claim they are just paying back his debt, which honestly makes our boy so emotionally exhausted. Stopping in his tracks, he glares back at the couch, flatly announcing that he is home and mockingly asking if that makes them happy. Bai Lingbing says it's dinner time, but he just tells them to eat without him. Saying he's not hungry, he heads upstairs, leaving his sister screaming to Bai Lingbing about his terrible attitude. She complains that he is getting completely out of hand, while the master manipulator Fang Yuan begs her not to be mad. She whimpers that it's all her fault, playing the victim by suggesting she should just leave instead. The sisters are coddling the golden boy, saying Xiaoyu wouldn't throw a petty tantrum. If anyone has to pack up and leave, it's Xiaoyu. Why should you? Xiaoyu hears all this trash talk behind him and just quickens his pace home. He locks the door and leans against it, trying to catch his breath. His eyes sting, so he stares at the ceiling. Forcing the tears back, he vows never to chase their bullshit family love again. Next morning, it's back to school, and of course, Fang Yuan shares his ride. Fang Yuan plays the fragile victim, asking if his big brother is still mad.
Xiaoyu bluntly asks if he ever gets tired of acting, then closes his eyes.
Refusing to deal with him, Fang Yuan's expression instantly darkens with pure malice. But since the family driver is watching, the green tea boy instantly plays pitiful again.
He flashes the driver a sad, brave smile, and the driver falls for it.
The driver thinks Xiaoyu is way too cruel for always bullying poor Fang Yuan. The driver resolves to report this to the second sister, but Xiaoyu is already focusing on class.
He's got to relearn everything, completely ignoring the little whispers from Fang Yuan's lackeys. All those brainwashed classmates talking trash behind his back, he couldn't care less.
He's got a whole new life to build, so why waste time on extras? That evening, Xiaoyu gets home and finds his sixth sister, Yan Yan, lounging on the couch. She looks completely miserable, but Fang Yuan immediately runs over to play the sweet angel. He whines about how much he missed her while she was away. Yan Yan is in a bad mood, but the kid's slick talk instantly cheers her up. Xiaoyu takes one look at this fake drama and heads straight upstairs. Yan Yan snaps at him, saying the fourth sister was right about him being rebellious. She complains that he won't even greet her as his sixth sister anymore. Xiaoyu sighs. Here we go again with the guilt trips. He hates wasting energy on this. He turns around and mutters a quiet greeting to his sixth sister. She brings up her real motive. She's back to rebuild her esports team. The older sister's already approved, so she demands he join. Xiaoyu grips his bag tight. In his past life, she did the exact same thing to rope him in. Desperate for his sister's approval back then, he agreed without a single thought. He trained like absolute crazy, completely ruining his own college entrance exams for her. And what did he get? Yan Yan literally told him to back down. She told him he proved himself, so now he must yield his spot to Fang Yuan. She wanted the golden boy to taste championship glory, reminding Xiaoyu who is boss. In his past life, he was forced off his own team like a dog. But without Xiaoyu carrying every match, they wouldn't have even touched the finals. Yet at the finish line, they benched him, handing the trophy to Fang Yuan. All his blood and sweat meant nothing. Honestly, seeing how they used him is low-key heartbreaking. But this time, Regression MC is built different. His eyes harden as he speaks. He tells her he's focusing on exams and won't let gaming distract him. He directly rejects her command. Let's be real, she was never asking, she was ordering. Yan Yan looks completely stunned, demanding to know if she heard him right. She can't believe he's actually refusing her invitation, her face turning ugly. She expected him to jump at the chance, never imagining he'd say no. He was always her loyal little puppy, but those days are officially over. Xiaoyu keeps his cool. It's just an invitation.
He has every right to decline. He looks straight at Yan Yan.
Embarrassing, but he doesn't care. Furious, Yan Yan warns him to think twice before throwing his future away. Stop throwing fits or you'll beg for mercy later.
She heard from fourth sister that he was just throwing a tantrum.
And supposedly traded her precious gold trophy to apologize to Green Tea Fang Yuan. That trophy represented everything to a rookie career. How dare he give it away? Right then, Fang Yuan gently tugs her sleeve. Sister Six, don't be mad. Joining your team is my dream. I'm sure Brother Xiaoyu will come around soon. Talk about throwing gasoline on the fire. That sentence instantly triggers Yan Yan's rage. She thinks Xiaoyu is just being an ungrateful brat. How dare he refuse her? Yan Yan glares at him with pure hatred. One shot, she snaps. Choose now. Are you joining the team or not? Xiaoyu honestly finds this hilarious. This sister is a total clown, letting Fang Yuan play her like a fiddle. Fang Yuan puts on his fake concerned act. Brother, just agree. Xiaoyu simply stares back. Since you dream of joining so much, I'll happily give you my spot. With that, he heads to his room. Since he's a returner, he's super rusty, so he has to study like crazy. Hours fly by until a maid knocks, announcing that dinner is ready. Just bring it up. But she hesitates. Everyone is waiting in the dining room. This is obviously a setup. He tightly grips his pen.
Knowing he hasn't fully escaped their control yet, he decides to play along. He heads down to the dining room.
They are all seated around the massive table of the wealthy family. Xiaoyu slides into the far corner. He quietly eats. The vibe? Incredibly tense. But of course, green tea boy Fang Yuan starts chirping to lighten the mood. Yan Yan glares at Xiaoyu and loudly promises to personally train Fang Yuan tonight. You'll easily surpass certain ungrateful people.
Fang Yuan acts totally thrilled, promising to give it his absolute all.
Xiaoyu couldn't care less.
Honestly, let them fail together. Once they lose the wildcard qualifier, Yan Yan's gaming career is officially over. He just keeps eating in silence. He doesn't even spare a glance at their happy little circle. No throwing tantrums, no crying like he used to.
Why? Because he genuinely does not care anymore. He finishes his meal calmly.
Standing up, he politely bids them enjoy.
If he didn't say anything, they definitely lecture him about manners again. Ningbing looks up, shocked that Xiaoyu isn't throwing a jealous fit today. He seems so cold and distant now. Are you really skipping the team? You have serious talent, Xiaoyu. They tell him that when the time comes, the whole family will win the championship together. His sister claims she is giving him an out, but hearing the word family just makes him sick. It is honestly so ridiculous because in his past life, he actually believed that lie. But right before the finals, they kicked him out and gave his spot to Fang Yuan. What kind of family does that? So Bai Shaoyu decisively refuses to join their esports team.
He says he needs to study, which makes Bai Yan Yan hit him with the sarcasm.
She reminds him how he used to literally beg her for gaming lessons and late-night training. He wanted to be on the official roster back then, so why the sudden change? The truth is low-key heartbreaking. He only begged his sister to play games with him in the past. He just wanted to get closer to her and finally have something to talk about as family. But now, there is absolutely no point. He calmly says gaming was just ruining his school grades. His scores dropped hard on the last monthly exam, so he is officially done with gaming. Bai Yan Yan is completely speechless, snapping back that he better not regret this. She warns him that once the tournament starts, the spotlight will only be on Fang Yuan. Everyone will treat him like the real Bai family member since Bai Shaoyu is being so ungrateful.
Honestly, he does not care. This is a massive win for him anyway. Not wanting to waste any more words, he turns around and leaves the dining room.
Back in his own room, he clears his head, calms down, and gets straight to studying.
He spends hours relearning everything he forgot. The next day after school,
he and Fang Yuan walk out to the school gate where the family driver is waiting. Fang Yuan stops by the car, mentioning he is heading to training camp today.
So the driver has to drop him off first, meaning they will not be riding together.
The driver cold shoulders him with a stiff face, saying he got orders from the sixth sister. He has to drop off Fang Yuan first and cannot waste any time.
Bai Shaoyu does not care at all, calmly saying he will just grab a cab. Fang Yuan gets in the car, looking pretty pleased with himself, calling out to Xiaoyu.
He fake promises to talk to their sister, but Bai Shaoyu just walks away. He literally just leaves him on red. Fang Yuan watches his retreating back with pure envy and bites his lip in anger, thinking Bai Shaoyu better watch out. He vows that one day he will steal absolutely everything from him, claiming it is owed. Meanwhile, Bai Shaoyu is standing bored by the road, really not wanting to go home. He decides to find a study room, but a sudden voice asks what a kid is doing wandering around. Turning around, he sees an incredibly gorgeous woman standing there, leaving him completely stunned. Meeting her eyes, he finally recognizes who she is. It is actually the legendary Viper.
She usually wears a medical mask and a white lab coat, making this sudden change crazy.
He almost did not recognize her. Shen Youchu stands before him and asks what he wants. He admits he does not want to go home and just needs a quiet place to study.
She tells him to follow her, and after a brief hesitation, he starts walking right behind her.
She leads him straight to the school clinic, leaving him standing at the door wondering why they came. He is already cured, but Shen Youchu just taps her desk. She tells him it is quieter here than any study room, which makes perfect sense. That actually makes sense, so he sets his bag down and thanks her for the space. As he pulls out his textbook and starts doing homework, Shen Youchu glances over at him. Her gaze softens before she turns and heads into the outer consultation room, gently closing the door behind her.
by the time he finally snaps back to reality?
Realizing it is getting pretty late, our boy spots a nameplate on the desk. It has Dr. Viper's picture, revealing her actual name is Shen Youchu.
Have you stared enough? Yep, our boy gets caught red-handed by the doctor.
Blushing hard, he quickly puts it back, swearing he was not snooping. He only saw it by accident. Meanwhile, she notices some uncompleted homework. "Go ask your teacher tomorrow," Shen Youchu says, walking right up to him.
She snatches his notebook, commenting that he cannot even solve the basic stuff.
Low-key hurt by her sharp words, he stares down at his textbook. Other drama ruined his grades in the past, but she tells him to pay attention. Shen Youchu grabs a pen and starts working through the math problem. He just stares at her, feeling a sudden wave of complicated emotions. Seriously, because of that villain Fang Yuan, our boy had zero friends. Even his teachers ignored him. No one had ever actually helped him study. Shen Youchu looks down. Her expression is cold and indifferent as ever. "With your trash attention span, you probably dozed off," she remarks bluntly. Snapping back to reality, he quickly apologizes in a soft voice. He promises to pay attention. Seeing him act so polite and obedient, she swallows her irritation and patiently continues explaining the next part. Warm evening light fills the room while he sits and she stands close. Leaning on the desk, she works out the math. Is your brain literally a straight line? It is the exact same logic. How did you fall for such a simple trick? Are your eyes just ornaments? Have you actually tested your IQ? Is it failing or what? Do it all over again, she demands. Her voice is completely ice cold, showing absolutely zero emotion. But man, her roasts are next level. Good thing you knew she was savage. Anyone else would have broken down, but our boy toughs it out. Packing his homework, he smiles and says, "Thank you, Dr. Shen."
You are genuinely amazing for still remembering all this high school stuff.
Shen Youchu turns to him, asking if his family did not hire tutors. He purses his lips, admitting he hates owing his family anything.
He has no money right now and refuses to beg the Bai family.
Shen Youchu stares at him, her long lashes hiding her inner thoughts. He tentatively asks if he can come back with more questions later. She turns her head away, her tone sounding a bit awkward. "No time," she snaps, but he does not get upset, just packing up. Then, tapping the desk, she adds that it depends on her mood. He smiles, thanking Dr. Shen. Wait, no, thank you, Teacher Shen. Before she can even reply, he grabs his backpack and runs. Shen Youchu narrows her eyes, letting a rare, lazy smile slip out. Whatever, she thinks, it passes the time. Meanwhile, he heads home. The butler tells him his sisters are out dining with Master Yuan, so they will not be back. He just nods, totally unfazed. He eats alone in the quiet dining room, enjoying some peace. Opening his phone, he checks social media right on cue. Seeing them ignore their brother for a fake is crazy. The villain arc is brewing. He barely glances at the picture of them looking all lovey-dovey on social media. He immediately closes his phone and just goes back to eating alone. The next morning, he heads down for breakfast, but his sisters aren't there yet. Only Fang Yuan is sitting at the table, already trying to subtly flex. He starts bragging about how much progress he made at his pro team training. Our boy just sits there, eating with a completely deadpan face, ignoring him. Fang Yuan is in such a good mood that he doesn't even care. He probably thinks Xiaoyu is acting calm, but secretly dying of jealousy inside. Xiaoyu quickly finishes his food and heads straight out the door. But the driver refuses to move, saying they have to wait for Master Yuan. He is forced to sit in the car waiting for over 10 minutes. Still no sign of Fang Yuan, so Xiaoyu checks the time. Honestly, he's totally done with this family and warns they are going to be late. He's done. He opens the car door to leave. Just then, his sister Bai Xue walks out, complaining about his lack of patience. She brings up how Fang Yuan's parents saved his life back in the day. Yet he won't wait a single minute. Right when things are getting unbearable, Fang Yuan finally shows up. He runs over apologizing, claiming he was with their other sister. They were apparently discussing the upcoming match, and he lost track of time. Bai Xue calmly tells him it is fine since he's helping the family. She basically calls our MC an ungrateful dog. Like, are you serious right now? The driver promises to speed up, but of course they still end up late.
They run to the classroom only to get caught red-handed by the teacher.
Fang Yuan plays the victim, gasping for breath and apologizing to her.
It's my fault, he whines. I ruined everything.
He even claims he dragged Xiaoyu down, while Xiaoyu just stays silent.
The teacher immediately speaks softly to Fang Yuan, saying she understands. She just tells him to go inside. He thanks her, and Xiaoyu tries to follow him into the classroom. But the teacher snaps at Xiaoyu, telling him to stop dragging Fang Yuan down. Zero warning. Xiaoyu turns back. He points out that Fang Yuan literally just admitted it was his own fault. But the teacher shuts him down, accusing him of making excuses. She forces him to stand outside even though he cannot afford to miss class. He's already lagging behind, so he silently walks inside anyway to listen. He is in a terrible mood, wishing final exams would just come sooner. That way, he can finally escape this toxic crowd. Later, during lunch break, a huge crowd gathers around Fang Yuan to hear about his pro training. Everyone is super jealous, and one of the lackeys looks right at Xiaoyu. He sneers that some people are probably so jealous they made them late. Fang Yuan just smirks, while our boy ignores them and takes a nap. Completely ignoring the haters, school finally ends for the day. Fang Yuan tries to flex again, asking if Xiaoyi is going to training. Xiaoyu just silently packs his bag and walks out of the classroom. Xiaoyu walks away. Fang Yuan stares at his back with a smug, triumphant grin. He turns to his lackey, casually ordering him to do his homework, just like always. Just do not get caught by the teacher, he says, sending him off to chase his dreams. We will back you up. The grateful lackey happily thanks him. Fang Yuan promises he won't treat him poorly before happily heading off. This time, he is determined to crush Xiaoyu and prove he is the only true heir. Meanwhile, Xiaoyu heads straight to the school clinic. Shen Youchu is sitting right there. Her elegant face shows a bit of playfulness as she asks if he needs something. I am here to study. Please let me stay, he says, walking right in. Honestly, he just needs a quiet spot where she won't kick him out of there. She is pretty surprised by his boldness, thought he would be too scared to return. But the moment he starts asking questions, she immediately roasts him. She asks if his brain is a sieve, wondering why everything she teaches leaks out. Stop asking easy questions, she warns, telling him to solve things on his own. Our boy does not even try to argue. He just obediently writes everything down. Suddenly, a massive rumbling growl breaks the quiet of the room. Talk about embarrassing. His face turns bright red, even though he already ate earlier. But he is still starving. Shen Youchu simply glances up at the clock. She orders some delivery and tells him to eat first. He pulls up a chair. Staring at the prominent scar on her wrist, he just cannot help but ask about it. He gently asks when she got into that crash, while she silently unboxes their food delivery.
She sets everything on the table, staring back at him.
Her eyes turn misty. It was years ago, and he admits his parents also died. They passed away in that same crash, leaving him to survive with his older sisters. Thinking back to how much he depended on them, a bitter smirk crosses his face. Right after their parents died, they actually struggled through some really tough times together. Back then, they were incredibly close, but everything shattered the moment Fang Yuan appeared. It completely ruined their bond, and hearing this, Shen Youchu tightly grips her chopsticks. She asks what his plan is now. He confidently states he is aiming for Renmin University. He wants to leave this city to start fresh, earning a comment about his massive ambitions. Time quickly flies by to the end of May. The weather gets way hotter. The stress of the upcoming college exams hangs incredibly heavy over all the seniors. His relationship with the Bai family is freezing cold, but the oldest sister is coming home. The house feels weirdly tense now, and even the manipulative Fang Yuan is acting super cautious. He is constantly hovering around Bai Ningbing and Bai Xue to stay in their good graces. One weekend, Xiaoyu finishes his game-boosting work super late and slips into the silent villa. Creeping upstairs quietly, he hears hushed voices coming from the second-floor living room. It is Bai Ningbing and Bai Xue whispering about waiting for their eldest sister's return.
They complain that Xiaoyu is completely out of hand, but agree to wait for now.
Bai Ningbing sighs, noting that causing drama right before exams might ruin his performance. But Bai Xue snaps back, scoffing at the idea of him ever getting decent scores. She sharply retorts that it is actually better to let him face reality sooner.
Honestly, she thinks he needs to be put in his place, and eldest sister will handle it.
Bai Ningbing tells her younger sister to chill, reminding her that Xiaoyu is still their brother.
But Bai Xue just scoffs, spitting out that she does not have a brother that selfish. So cold-blooded! Just look at how badly he hurt Yuan. Yuan's been having nightmares lately. Maybe it really was a misunderstanding. I didn't even see it clearly. Second sister, why are you still defending him?
The evidence is rock solid. Yuan said so himself.
He's just insanely jealous and totally twisted.
Our boy's heart sinks. It's like being plunged into ice-cold water. Turns out Bai Ningbing actually had a tiny bit of doubt at first. But with Bai Shuhei and Fang Yuan running their mouths, that doubt completely vanished. Stop fighting, Bai Ningbing sighs. We'll let eldest sister handle this when she gets back.
Just behave yourselves for now. Let's not cause any more drama. Our MC doesn't even bother listening. He just quietly slips back to his room.
Staring at the ceiling, he asks himself, wait for eldest sister?
In his past life, eldest sister Bai Sujin was the absolute boss of the house. And her bias toward Fang Yuan was completely shameless. Once he returned, our boy's life went completely downhill. He needs to prepare before she gets back.
He needs to get ready. The next day, he hits the net cafe to find Shen Youchu. Shen Youchu is just chillin' watching game clips. Our boy hesitates for a second.
He walks over and calls out, "Dr. Shen." Shen Youchu looks up. Raising an eyebrow, he asks if something's up, and our MC nods. Remember that high-paying tournament you mentioned? Shen Youchu seems pretty surprised. He sizes him up, asking what made him change his mind. Tapping the desk, he mentions there's an online tournament going on. Low entry barrier, but the prize pool's actually pretty decent. $50,000 for the solo champ and sign-ups in today. Can I join? If your level and rank are high enough, yeah, he drops the tournament link. Just fill in your details. The open qualifiers start at 8 p.m. tonight. Our boy says thanks, but Shen Youchu just waves it off,
saying calmly that whether he even survives the qualifiers
all depends on his own skill. That night, our MC logs in right on time. It's a brutal single elimination format. One match, winner takes all. The lobby's a mixed bag of skill, and our boy is absolutely cruising.
Zero resistance. He just folds everybody and stacks up win after win.
He easily secures his spot in the main event starting next week. Before logging off, he gets a system ping confirming his official bracket slot, along with the schedule. Suddenly, his chat box flashes with a message. It's Shen Youchu. Turns out he was spectating. He texts that it was okay, but some plays were too aggressive and easy to throw. Our boy replies, "Got it, thanks, but the main bracket isn't going to be this easy. Some pro academy players signed up, so don't get cocky." He logs off. Massaging his sore wrists, he knows $50,000 is a life-changing amount of cash.
If he wins, his entire first year of college tuition and bills
are completely covered. He has to clutch this. The next week, our MC goes into full grind mode, studying hard by day, and spending his nights boosting accounts, practicing solo mechanics, and studying opponents. Shen Youchu occasionally drops in, ruthlessly pointing out every single mistake he makes. Shen Youchu was still toxic as hell, but honestly, his advice was always spot on. Under his brutal training, Xiaoyu's mechanics and game sense literally leveled up. When the tournament starts on Friday night, he lies about school study and sneaks to the net cafe. The matches are intense, just like Youchu warned him they would be. A few high-tier players force Xiaoyu to lock in, his palms completely dripping with sweat. Bro, he almost lost one round, but saved it with an insane clutch play. Shen Youchu just watches, silent. Still, Xiaoyu powers through, clenching his spot in the finals. His final opponent is a brutal assassin main, deadly and fast. Before the match starts, Xiaoyu takes a deep breath and cracks his knuckles. Suddenly, his phone vibrates like crazy. It is Bai Xue. The constant ringing is completely destroying his focus.
He picks up, whispering a quick hello.
Her screeching, tearful voice immediately pierces through the speaker. She screams, "Bai Shaoyu, where the hell are you? Get back here right now! Something happened to Fang Yuan, and it is all your fault!" Xiaoyu asks what is wrong.
She screams that Fang Yuan fainted after coughing up blood. She blames it on Xiaoyu pushing him into the water last time.
If anything happens to her precious adoptive brother, she vows she will never let him go. Her hysterical voice rings painfully in his ears. Xiaoyu looks at the screen, watching the match countdown tick away.
With the screaming in his ears, his chest feels incredibly tight. Barely able to breathe, he tells her he is in a tournament.
She screams back, "What tournament? Is that more important than his life?"
She yells that he has no heart and needs to get to the hospital. As she roars, the game countdown finally hits 0. The grand finals begin and the enemy assassin instantly charges. Her hysterical screaming clashes with the intense game sounds. The chaotic noise of the net cafe threatens to completely overwhelm him. Bai Shui keeps screaming, "Bai Shaoyu, do you hear me?" "Get back here this instant!" Her voice sounds completely unhinged.
Looking at the screen, Xiaoyu remembers how Fang Yuan ruined his past life.
He remembers his sister's freezing glares and how they stripped him of everything. Plus 50,000 yuan is on the line. Honestly, the way he immediately cuts her off, legendary. With trembling fingers, he completely powers off the phone. Total silence. Taking a deep breath, he locks onto the monitor.
Hands on the mouse and keyboard, his gaze turns ice cold.
The match is brutal, the opponent playing like an absolute ghost. Every single trade is a coin flip, while Bai Shui's words linger. The stress gives him a stomachache, but he forces himself to lock in. Block, dodge, strike back, sweat drips onto the keyboard. The net cafe noise fades away, leaving only the flashing blades on screen. Both players have their health bars completely bottomed out. The opponent pulls a crazy flank, aiming a sneaky stab right at his back. Right on cue, Xiaoyu slams his keyboard.
His character does a clutch dodge roll, thrusting his sword backward.
Boom! The screen freezes and a massive victory sign pops up. He actually did it, leaning back to catch his breath. His hands are shaking, but he just secured 50,000 for his tuition. But before he can even celebrate, a flood of missed calls hits his phone. Unsurprisingly, they are all from his toxic sisters, Bai Xue and Bai Ningbing. The latest text is demanding he get to the central hospital immediately. Fang Yuan is in critical condition, and Xiaoyu's heart completely drops. See, in his past life, the kid was sickly, but never this close to death. It looks like his regression has actually butterfly affected the timeline. He rushes straight to the hospital, completely forgetting about his prize money. Outside the ward, his crying sisters are already waiting. Even the eldest sister, Bai Sujin, is there in a sharp business suit. She is talking to the doctor with a grim face, surrounded by the family. Everyone looks incredibly tense, and then they spot him walking in. Instantly, Bai Shui charges at him, calling him a literal murderer. She tries to slap him, but he dodges while Ningbing holds her back. She looks at him with pure disappointment and exhaustion in her eyes. She tells him he has broken their hearts, but he just stares back. He looks past them, into the room, where Fang Yuan lies in bed. The kid is hooked up to an oxygen mask, looking pale as a ghost. Xiaoyu asks what the doctor said, his voice completely dry. Bai Shui screams through her tears that it is acute liver failure. She claims the water infection caused it, blaming Xiaoyu for pushing him. She calls him pure evil, but he insists he did not do it. His defense feels useless, but then the eldest sister cuts them off. Sujin steps forward, looking at him with eyes as cold as ice. She says she does not care what happened, but the kid needs a liver transplant. Since family has the best match rate, Xiaoyu gets a horrible feeling about this. She coldly explains that the whole family already got tested. And of course, his match rate is the highest. He looks up in shock as she stares right back, speaking very slowly. She demands he donate part of his liver, and his mind completely blanks out. His past life nightmare is literally repeating, except this time, it is a liver. He blurts out that there is absolutely no way. His voice is shaking, and Sujin's eyes instantly turn dangerously sharp. She demands to know what he said, and he repeats it clearly. Backing away with his heart pounding, he tells them he is not donating. The entire hallway goes dead silent as everyone stares at him in disbelief. Bai Shui is the first to lose it, screaming his name. She asks if he is even human since a life is on the line. He is the only match, but he just looks at her and asks, why should he? Xiaoyu looks at Bai Ningbing and Bai Sujin. He stares at these so-called family members, asking why he is always the sacrificial lamb. Why does Fang Yuan get everything he wants? His graduation project, his competition slot, his kidney, and now they want his liver too? Was he just raised to be a spare parts machine? 2 lifetimes of anger finally boil over. He finally screams it all out, and Bai Sujin's face turns absolutely hideous. She snaps at Xiaoyu to watch his attitude because they are saving a life here. How can you be so selfish? Honestly, that word makes him want to laugh.
They only call him family when they need something, but expect him to sacrifice every single time.
If he does not obey, he's selfish. But what about them? Which of them is actually willing to donate? It is not even a perfect match. Only his third sister, Bai Xue, quietly mutters that his match rate is still the highest. The success rate is highest with him, so he just deserves this? Xiaoyu cuts her off, asking what would happen if he was the one dying today. If Fang Yuan was the match, would they force him to donate too? No one speaks, but their guilty eyes say everything. They absolutely would not do it. They cannot bear to let their precious Fang Yuan suffer at all. Xiaoyu's heart goes completely numb. Cold as ice. He looks them dead in the eye and says he is not donating. Legally, they cannot force him to donate anyway. Hearing this, Bai Sujin completely loses her mind.
She warns him not to push her, but he fires right back.
He refuses to back down, declaring he is ready to leave the Bai family for good. He is cutting all ties. She asks if he dares, and he challenges her to watch him. He practically screams it, spinning around to walk away. Bai Sujin orders her bodyguards to stop him, and they immediately move in to grab Xiaoyu. Just as a fight is about to break out, a cold voice suddenly cuts through the room, reminding them that this is a hospital and they need to keep it quiet. Bro, it is Shen Youchu looking sharp in his white lab coat. No one saw him come in, but he is standing there holding a medical chart. He stares blankly at the group, letting his gaze slowly sweep over the terrible Bai sisters. Finally, his eyes land on Xiaoyu as he mentions that forcing organ donation is highly illegal. He asks if they need him to call the police, making Bai Sujin narrow her eyes. She demands to know who he is, so Shen Youchu casually flashes his hospital badge. He also claims to be Xiaoyu's temporary legal advisor, which is a total boss move. He brings up the potential domestic abuse that Xiaoyu apparently mentioned earlier, along with the forced organ donation, stating he is currently helping collect hard evidence. Xiaoyu is completely stunned. Legal advisor? Since when did he hire one? The Bai sisters are left speechless, clearly not expecting this random guy to ruin their plans. Shen Youchu walks over and whispers that the competition prize money has been sent to his card. He tells Xiaoyu to follow him right now with a voice that has absolute authority. Xiaoyu instinctively follows him, but Bai Sujin screams for them to stop immediately. Shen Youchu turns back, his eyes chillingly cold. He calmly tells Miss Bai to contact his lawyer if she has any issues. Or, after a slight pause, he suggests they can just meet at the police station. He warns that the Bai group probably does not want headlines about forcing their adopted son to donate his liver. Honestly, that final threat turns Bai Sujin's face pale as a ghost. He glares at Shen Youchu and then at her. Finally, he backs down. Shen Youchu grabs her hand, dragging her right out of the hospital. The cold night wind hits her face. She finally snaps back. Her palms are drenched in cold sweat. Speechless, and he just keeps his eyes lowered. He pulls out his phone, taps the screen, and sends a transfer. A chime rings out. 50,000 yuan. It is actually there. She whispers a quiet thank you. Her mind is a mess, but he says he just hated the injustice. He looks at her pale face. Got anywhere to go? She shakes her head. School is out. And she definitely cannot go back to the toxic Bai family. He hesitates, then tells her to follow him. He leads her to an old, run-down apartment building nearby, unlocking a small single-bedroom apartment. It is simple, but spotless. He calls it a temporary spot. Tossing her a spare key. Stay here until exams are over. She stands there, totally lost. Why help her? Shen Youchu suddenly pauses. He says it is because of the scar on her leg. It is as ugly as his. Then he heads to the kitchen. Left alone. And just like that, her new life begins. She settles into the quiet little apartment. He is always busy. He rarely drops by, but always brings some food. Sometimes he leaves practice exams. Meanwhile, she blocks the toxic bias. She pours everything into studying, occasionally doing some gaming boosts. Absolute peace, a feeling she has not had since her regression. The day before the big exam, he shows up.
Bring in some takeout.
Do not be nervous, he says. She quietly nods.
They eat in silence, and then he stands to leave. Right at the door, he suddenly stops. Fang Yuan woke up. She freezes instantly. Her liver magically improved, so no transplant is needed. Unbelievable. He says they found a miracle drug. Honestly, this sounds so fake.
Stunned, she quickly realizes the truth. There is no miracle drug. In her past life, this never happened.
That urgent transplant was probably a complete lie from the start. Pure irony. She just gives a quiet, numb response. Blank face. Shen Youchu gives her a long look.
Saying nothing else, he gently closes the door.
Next morning, she walks into the exam hall completely calm. 2 lifetimes of struggle come down to this, and it goes smoothly. Every question is exactly what she prepared for. She walks out. Looking at the bright sunshine, she finally lets out a sigh of relief. High school is finally over, and with it, his toxic ties to the trash Bai family.
It is a massive relief when he gets back to his tiny rented room.
He starts packing his things now that college entrance exams are done. He has no reason to keep troubling his friend Shen Youchu, but then the doorbell rings. He opens the door expecting his friend, but instead his eldest sister Bai Sujin is standing there. She looks exhausted and stares at him with this super complicated look, asking if he finished his exams.
Xiaoyu just stands there blocking the doorway with zero intention of letting her step inside.
She softens her tone quite a bit, asking Xiaoyu if they can talk.
Her voice actually sounds tired, but he just sneers, asking if she wants to discuss his kidney donation again. Bai Sujin frowns and tells him that Fang Yuan is cured now. He does not need to donate anymore, admitting they were too impatient before and said some harsh things. She struggles to find the words before telling him to just come home, which is honestly hilarious. Xiaoyu looks at her and asks which home she means. The one where they can throw him under the bus the second Fang Yuan needs something?
She snaps that everything is in the past and Fang Yuan is fine, so he should stop throwing a tantrum.
Her patience is already running out as she reminds him that he is still a Bai family member. She asks if he really wants to live like a stray, making him repeat those words in disbelief. It is honestly so ridiculous that he tells his sister to look in the mirror. He asks if they ever saw him as family, or just a tool to prop up their precious Fang Yuan. A spare part they could sacrifice whenever they wanted. Bai Sujin's face instantly drops.
She asks how he could think that way, but that is literally how he survived both of his lives. He raises his voice, yelling that he has had enough after 2 lifetimes, leaving her completely confused. She thinks he is talking absolute nonsense, but he does not even bother explaining regression to her. Either way, he is not going back and plans to apply for colleges abroad now that exams are over. He is leaving this place, so they can just pretend they never had a younger brother. Besides, it's not like they ever actually cared about him anyway. Bai Sujin is completely speechless. She clearly did not expect him to be this cold and resolute as she looks into his eyes. For the first time ever, her usually arrogant and cold eyes actually show a flash of sheer panic. She tries to speak, but he calmly cuts her off and tells her to just let it go. With a cold goodbye, he slowly shuts the door right in her face, shutting out her shocked expression. A few days later, his college entrance exam results are finally released. His scores are insanely high, easily enough to get him into any top school in the country. He quietly applies to a prestigious university in Nanshi, hundreds of miles away from his toxic family. Then he starts preparing his paperwork to study abroad for graduate school later on. During this time, his other sisters, Bai Ningbing and Bai Xue, try to visit him with much softer attitudes. They are basically begging and trying to patch things up, but he completely freezes them out. With no luck, they are forced to leave, while Fang Yuan spams him with incredibly long text messages. The guy acts all sincere, trying to explain his medical condition. He keeps apologizing and begging Xiaoyu to come back home.
Xiaoyu deletes them without even reading a single word before saying goodbye to Shen Youchu. He thanks his friend for all the help, but Shen Youchu just keeps it brief.
He simply nods and hands over a thick envelope.
It is packed with cash, calling it an investment that Xiaoyu can repay whenever he gets rich.
He accepts it, knowing this is just his friend's unique way of showing he cares. On the day he finally leaves Bai Shi behind, the sky is perfectly clear. So our girl packs her bags and heads to the airport.
After checking in, she instinctively takes one last look behind her.
A crowded lobby, but no familiar face.
With a quiet smile, she turns around and walks down the boarding gate without a single shred of regret.
The plane soars straight into the sky. Looking down at the shrinking city, she is finally free of that toxic two-lifetime nightmare. What an insane ride! Thank you all for the support.